There once was a place enchanting your darkest desires. There once was a road that crossed all your tranquility. A fight for true love, a fall for timeless lust, secrets of the labyrinth, destroyed bonds at the glance in a mirror. Hearts closed, thorns in prison, a spirit hardened. Rise up, warrior, confess your truth. Join us inside Black Garden.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Create Dominion podcast with your host, Dominion, and welcome to episode 6 of the Black Garden series, the Warrior Within panel. I'm excited to bring you all not one, not two, but 3 hypnotherapists from around the world here today for today's panel. Again, I'm so very excited to share with you all. And again, hope you guys are excited. I know we just passed our 1-year anniversary last Wednesday. And so appreciate everyone being a fan and follower of the Create Dominion podcast. And so with that, I'll kick it off to our first panelist. Caroline, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and who you are?
Thank you, Darian. Thank you for having me. So I'm a hypnotherapist, and I specialize in interrupting relationship patterns. So usually those are toxic relationships with emotionally unavailable partners. And we go to the root of the issue, going back into early childhood, where you established this relationship pattern, this relationship blueprint with your parents. And then there is a story there that you are simply replaying through these adult relationships. And that's what we do together is untangle that, see the pattern, and resolve that so that the person doesn't keep on trying to resolve their story in their adult relationships, and they become free to have a beautiful, healthy, conscious relationship that is not based on past wounding. And so I achieve that through inner child healing and reparenting and subconscious reprogramming to rewire all those neural networks to think differently, feel differently, and see themselves differently, right? The self-perception really upgrade and go from the child, the wounded child, to feeling like an empowered adult that can have love and have a beautiful relationship.
Awesome. Thank you. And then where are you located again?
I am in São Paulo, Brazil.
Awesome.
I'd like
Thank
to
you.
add to that, Darren, that I do work with soulmate attraction, because that's all part of it, right? We attract who we're a match for, but that is something that I love doing.
Awesome. Thank you. And then Meg.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. I hope that your audience takes away something that is useful and helpful for them in their lives today. I am a relationship coach. I am a board-certified hypnotherapist, neurolinguistic programming practitioner, HMT practitioner, and integrative mind-body coach. And what I found was that I was using a lot of tools in my coaching practice, and the integrative mind-body coaching actually helped people make permanent transitions, evolutions, change in their lives where they may have been reading about it or thinking about it or studying about concepts, the integrative mind-body coaching allows them to actually embody new versions of themselves and bring that into their relationships. My main goal with people I work with, individuals and couples, is to help them decide who they want to be in the relationship, what they want the relationship to be, and to move into that. Who do they have to become in order to have the relationship that they want? How can they embody that? How can they work together toward that? But it really starts with deciding who that is that they want to be. I think we're fed a lot of information about what we're supposed to be in a relationship and what a relationship is supposed to look like. And I am here to say it doesn't have to be any of that. It can be anything you want it to be. And how can we move forward in a way that has us feeling fulfilled, satisfied, happy, seen, heard, important in the relationships that we want to cultivate with others in our lives.
Awesome. Thank you. And where are you located?
I am in the Chicagoland area.
Awesome. Go Bears.
Yeah.
All right. And Dale?
Dominion, first and foremost, thank you for the opportunity to be here. I've been excited all week. I just really been looking forward to this, man. And so what I do is, much like everybody here, except for you, Dominion, I do hypnotherapy. I'm not certified with NLP, but I'm a huge NLP advocate, been studying it for many, 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 many years. But what I do is I work with people to help them build confidence, to be able to have self-respect and self-discipline, raise that self-esteem, get out there and do a lot of the things that, that we hold ourselves back from doing, whether it's through overthinking or whatever the case may be. When it's you getting in your own way, you are the one that's responsible to fix it. No one's going to fix it for you, right? So what I kind of encapsulate that is in a game. And so I tell people this all the time, man. If you don't like you, how can you expect everybody else to like you? If you don't have a good relationship with you, how can you expect anybody to have a good relationship with you? So it all starts with you. And then you can start attracting into your life really what it is that you want, because you are now getting to the point of where, hey, I feel good about who I am as an individual.
Awesome. Again, I appreciate you all sharing your backgrounds. And as I start with every Black Garden episode, again, this is the Warrior Within, and we're going to dive deep into becoming the best version of yourself, as well as really healing and cultivating the relationships and the life that you want. And so disclaimer for the Black Garden, make sure you have your first aid kits, make sure you have your Band-Aids and your peroxide, because as we dive into the Black Garden, some of the thorns may prick you a little bit. So we want to make sure if you start bleeding that you have a Band-Aid to cover. So again, also, everything that's spoken here today may not resonate with you. Me personally, it's my first time ever hearing the word hypnotherapist. And so as you're listening and viewing this episode here today, everything may not resonate with you, may not understand all the terminologies and certifications and just different perspectives. But I encourage everyone listening to take one thing that resonates with them that they can apply daily to their life to decree the dominion of their mind and reveal the true light that shines. And again, with that being said, welcome to the Warrior Within and welcome to the Black Garden. And so first question I have for the panelists is, what inspired you the most to become a hypnotherapist and be proficient in your profession?
Well, for me, Darian, it was seeing the power and the speed of transformations using hypnotherapy. It was during the pandemic, and I came across Marissa Peer, who is the developer of rapid transformational therapy, which is hypnotherapy. And I followed her and I watched her and talking about these amazing transformations, people coming in with problems and within 1 hour coming out really with huge breakthroughs that went on to change their lives and really transform them, the inside, by getting to the core problem, the really the emotional problem going on at the root, and at the belief system within, how I see myself, what I believe about myself, that I'm not enough, and all that kind of stuff. And I felt very inspired. I studied psychology in university as well as early childhood education. And it was always my dream to become a therapist. So I had been a teacher for 20 years. And it inspired me. And I had just divorced from my third husband because I had been in a cycle of repetitive relationship pattern with emotionally unavailable partners. And I knew I had stuff to work through that was leading me back into my childhood. And I needed to understand, why did I keep choosing the same kind of man? Why did I choose? In the end, it was the strongest dose. He was a narcissist. And why would I choose that? And why would I keep on choosing that? And what was it within me? Because I was the common denominator after 3 marriages to the same type. And I had to take a hard look at myself and see what was my role in attracting and choosing. I chose these men. I liked them at some point. And so I really had to take responsibility for that and work through that. Come to see that it went back to having a father he loved me dearly, but he was really unable to show affection and emotion. And even though I knew that he loved me, it left me feeling really starved for affection. And what we do is we go on to try and keep earning. So in childhood, I was a good at school and performing, being the good student, Miss Perfect, the perfect daughter, the perfect student, the perfect everything, trying to earn praise because my dad would say, "Oh, well done," when I would do good. And that to me was sort of like as much as I'd get. So I would work super hard for that one well done. It's like a little crumb of praise. But to me, it meant the world because I was equating praise to love. So that led to being star student, etc. But then being in my adulthood, sorry about that, unknowingly attracted to men who were like my father in that way, in that they were not expressive, they could not show emotion and affection, because I was trying to, let's say, put a happy ending on my childhood, right? If I could change these men and make them into warm, affectionate men, it would be like changing my dad and finally earning all of the love and affection that I had longed for. And so until I saw that, oh my goodness, I'm just recreating that pattern of relationship with men that I had with my father, because I'm still trying to resolve that and finally get the love and affection that I've been longing for. So I call that the pining pattern And so you stay in these relationships. I stayed years, married 3 times, adding them all up, 24 years married to these types that would withhold love and could not show affection. So I was pining for years. And until I saw that, it's like breaking a spell. You're like, okay, I see what I'm doing now, and I'm going to go in and heal and give myself the love that I was looking for, the love and approval and validation that I was looking for. And now I'm not looking for that and waiting for it in someone who can't give it. I'm just going to give it to myself, and and now I can receive it from someone who's actually emotionally available and able and wanting to give me the love and affection that I deserve, that we all deserve, and that I wanted. So that is my journey, and that is why I really love hypnotherapy, and it's what made me want to become a hypnotherapist. It was the power in it to really change at a deep emotional level quickly.
Awesome, awesome. Again, thank you for sharing that. And I hope you guys were listening, because again, time after time, like everyone said so far, um, we tend to try to blame everything else but ourselves. And I love that you said, after 3 husbands, 3 marriages, again, that common denominator was you. Again, it all ends and begins with you. You could have got on social media and made rants and made posts like all men are the same, or, all relationships are the same. But you took it upon yourself to, say, wait a minute, let me take a step back and really think about, what I've been through, and think about the type of people that I've had these relationships with. And again, the common denominator you saw was, hey, I need someone emotionally available, and everything I choose is the opposite of what I actually want. And so again, like Dale was saying earlier with this intro, how do you, if nobody likes you, if you don't like yourself, then there's nobody that's going to like you. And so I love that you were able to figure out what you wanted to attract within yourself and love that, and then begin to start attracting those in that relationship that you actually really wanted and desired. And so appreciate you sharing that. So I'll let Meg share hers.
Yeah. So very much like Caroline, I was inspired by my own circumstances in my life, right? I was married for 14 years and I wound up getting divorced. And when I found myself in a subsequent partnered relationship, I found myself in this same state, the same frustrated, misunderstood, lonely feeling of just like, I'm in this relationship with this person and I don't think he understands me. Like, I feel like we are so separate from one another. And to have that feeling when you're in relationship with someone and you're supposed to, or you want to, right, feel so close and deeply intimate with them, and like they're the person you can fall back on, or they're the person you can turn to, or you would like to be able to share everything with this person. And I felt like it wasn't happening on my end, but it also, I wasn't receiving that from them either, from these men in my life. And I was like, what is actually happening here? And what I had to do was look at my responsibility in what was happening. So I am of the belief that, we are 100% responsible for everything that is coming into our lives. And so how can my taking responsibility for what's happening here actually change what's going on out there? Like, what did I need to look at? What did I need to heal? What did I need to transform within myself in order for my relationships to be what I wanted them to be? Doing that myself, getting to, much like Caroline said, the root cause of pain. That has always been, since I began working, which was in massage therapy 25 years ago, that was my original intention. What's the root cause of people's pain, right? As that developed, I was like, and I learned more about the subconscious mind and Joe Dispenza and, just all Bruce Lipton. The mind is the root cause of all pain. Well, that became my understanding. And so how could I address my mind, my subconscious mind, the subconscious patterns that I didn't know were playing in the background? How could I bring those all into my conscious awareness so that I could create what I wanted in my life, which is also means making decisions for myself about who I am, who I want to be, who I want to be in relationship to others, and what I want in relationship in return. So it was very much a personal transformation that led me to wanting to offer this to other people. Because if I can do it, I know it can be done, right? Like I have the experience. I know it's happened for me. I know it can be done for other people. I see people all the time talking about how in long-term relationships, they're not on the same page. They don't speak the same language anymore. Like what happened? We're now like strangers living in the same house. We're just, we don't even know each other anymore. I've watched those transformations happen. Because it happened with me, I want to offer that to other people and just say, if you want it, it can be done.
Awesome. I love everything you shared there. And I love what you said about the mind because, when you think something, we always said, oh, you saw it in your head or, that wasn't really there. Again, whatever you manifest in your mind, can come into fruition for you. Everybody interprets everything differently. We all have different opinions, different perspectives. And so, again, everyone's mind is their reality of what is going on or what is happening. And so, again, I commend you for, not only, healing yourself and, having that for yourself, but also reaching out and offering it to others around the world as well. So I appreciate you for that. And so, Dale?
Yeah, man. So, basically, for me, it was just about getting better with women. Plain and simple, but that's where everything started. Okay. That's not where everything is now, right? We all have our starting points. So for me, it was like a thing of like, okay, I was never good with dating or relationships and things like that through my high school years and my college age years. And then I'm 30, right? It's like, okay, I got to get a handle on this thing. And so I tell guys this all the time. If you ever want to find out where your insecurities lie, go to the club and talk to a bunch of girls. It'll be very abundantly clear to you what your insecurities are. So, and that's my story, is just going out and just trying to talk to people, communicate with people, get to know people. And I realized I had so many shortcomings internally that it became a thing of like, well, it's not even about getting better with them. It's about getting better with me. And so at that point, I kind of went down the rabbit hole of NLP. And it's so funny because like all the names that have been tossed around so far, it's like, everybody's like, And so, I fell down the rabbit hole of NLP and, just started studying the concepts, introducing NLP and all that kind of stuff. And this went on for, I don't know, a decade. And then, and I'm sure you guys will co-sign everything that I'm saying here. Once you kind of fall down that rabbit hole, you start talking to people and it's like, how come everybody I know is a hypnotherapist? And so that's kind of what happened. It was just like, I was seeing a lot of the work that my peers were doing. And I was like, you know what? That's the ticket right there. That they're doing some really good work with people. And I knew that I had the, I don't know, I guess the skill set to be able to do that as well. It was just a matter of, just taking some classes and passing some tests and whatnot. But I just know how transformational that these things can be in people's lives. Just not even on what I do, but just right down of just all the testimonials and everything that I've seen from people that I trust and believe in and know. And it's like, why I'm holding myself back by not doing that. So it was just another tool in the toolbox. It's not what I don't use hypnotherapy like every single facet of everything that I do. But when I feel like that it applies, when I feel like somebody isn't you know, they're they're subconsciously getting in their own way. I don't know if you Dominion heard the adage, you don't know what you don't know. It's like they don't know that this is the thing holding them back. And I could tell them all day, but until they can kind of see it for themselves, they're not buying it. So that's when you start getting to the subconscious and you start eliminating a lot of these limiting beliefs and things like that. Now it's a game changer. So I was like, look, this is something that I have to do. I was inspired by a lot of people around me, and it's the age old saying, man, you show me the 5 people that you're around the most, and I'll show you who you are. And this is a perfect example of that, but in a good way. Usually that's applied in a bad way, but you get the idea. So that's in a nutshell pretty much it.
Awesome. Also, I love that you said that because and again, I hope everybody's really tuning in and listening. What you really said was you surrounded yourself with winners.
Yeah.
You surrounded yourself with winners that were, on a path in life, a trajectory of success. And you said, again, everybody loves that saying, the average of the 5 people you're around the most is who you are. And I don't know, everybody that uses that example on the podcast, I know people get butthurt when I say, if the 5 people, I'm going to say it I know for the viewers out there that heard this plenty of times, I'm going to say it again. If the 5 people around you are losers and they suck, well, guess what? You suck. And I'm sorry, Dominion had to be the one to finally tell you. So again, be like Dale and find 5 winners, and then you'll by default be a winner. And so again, I love that. Not only did you surround yourself with winners, but another thing as you're telling your story is the word conviction. You didn't just say, everybody's doing that. That sounds cool. Like you didn't become, what people say nowadays is a hater, right? A lot of times we have friends and people around us that are maybe they're graduating school or getting degrees, or maybe they're again getting certifications, or doing different success, maybe corporate ladder jobs, and get moving up, and we kind of just shoo them and say whatever, good for you, and kind of just hate from the background. But I love that you were convicted in what you wanted to do, and you said, hey, instead of just sitting in the back, sitting on the sidelines, I'm going to actually learn some stuff from these people, and I'm going to actually apply, what I want to manifest for my life and become, who you are today. And so again, I commend you for that. And so the next question I have, everybody's been listening to us for the past 20 so minutes, and they're probably like, okay, cool. These people are great, but what the heck is hypnotherapy, right? And so the next question I have for you all is, a lot of times hypnotherapy obviously is a form of therapy. And, I know there's people that are listening like, I don't even have a counselor, or what is this thing? Is this some kind of new trend or fad? What is this? And so what I want you guys to answer, and the next question is, what is the most common issue that you would say clients come to you to resolve? And in your opinion, how has hypnotherapy helped, transition, those individuals? And is it something that is feasible for everyone?
Okay, so how hypnotherapy has helped people, is that the question, Darren?
Yes. In your opinion, and what's the most common issue that they've came to address?
Okay, so for me, the most common issue is coming in with a sense of not feeling enough, with low self-esteem and low confidence. And that is why they are staying in these unfulfilling relationships and attracting uh, partners who are emotionally unavailable and that don't see them, don't value them. right? And so that is the most common thing that I see. And whether someone is coming in for relationship issues and just not feeling confident in relationships and feeling insecure and in their head and not authentic, all of that, even in other sessions that I've done with all kinds of issues, weight loss. I used to do a lot of weight loss sessions. It always goes back to the same core problem. So it's I'm not enough. The next one is I'm different and I can't connect. And just needing that validation. Those are the two most common issues that I find. And I have found it very powerful because hypnotherapy is regression, so we go back, we direct the mind to go to the root of where does this feeling of not being enough come from. And it's sort of like putting a GPS address, and the mind knows where to go. And this is different from, let's say, talk therapy, where you're not in an alpha theta brainwave state, where your subconscious is sort of accessible. You're sitting there wondering, well, I don't know where this comes from, this feeling comes from, and you can only guess at it. But in our waking, like in our normal beta state of consciousness that we are now, for example, we only have access to 5% of our memories. So getting to the actual root of why you don't feel enough is very slim. So in hypnotherapy, we simply put you in a relaxed state and direct the mind to go to the root of why you don't feel enough. And for example, clients go to the uterus and they see themselves it's black, but they're experiencing themselves, for example, in the womb. And I'm like, well, what is going on? One client, for example, she had a twin in utero, and that twin died, and she had that sense of abandonment already in the womb, that the twin had left. And I was like, well, why did she tune in? And when you are in hypnosis, you sort of have access to the universal consciousness of knowing things that you wouldn't otherwise. And she says she needs to go to do something important. And so she left. And so she, in the womb, died, let's say. But this is early pregnancy. And so the mom never knew about this twin. But she grew up with that feeling of, I'm not important and I feel abandoned. And that was a huge trigger for her in all of her relationships, which only got worse with her home life. Dad traveling, he was never available. Mom working while she was little. And then mom stopped working to stay home with the younger brother. So then that was like a double burn. She felt not enough and not special and, not important. And I don't matter because my mom didn't stay with me. So that must mean, and we always have to make it mean something when we're children to make sense of the situation. We need to give meaning to it so that it makes sense to us. And children never, ever blame the parent. They always blame themselves. So the conclusion is, well, she must have left me. My twin must have left me because I'm not enough. My mom must have gone to work but stayed home with my brother because I'm not important. I'm not enough. And that's the story and the belief that that stays. And that is our most common story. So hypnotherapy is very powerful in revealing exactly where, when, how, the circumstances of where this all began. And you can see with adult eyes what you made it mean. And it's not that you were not enough. It's that mom, whatever, she just decided, there was enough money in the house now, and mom could stay home now instead of working, while she was, when she, so it's those reframes, seeing what you interpreted as a child with new adult eyes, and seeing that it's not that you're not enough, it's just there are other circumstances that were present. But the trauma is not what happens to us, it's what happens inside of us in response to what happens to us, right? And that is the definition used by Dr. Gabor Mate, which I subscribe to. And in hypnotherapy, we're simply making it mean a different thing now, seeing the story through adult eyes and reframing the belief and the meaning. You are enough. You always were. It's just your twin had other things to do. And guess what? You could have made that decision too. So it's all about that, the reframe and changing the story, the narrative, seeing it through adult eyes rather than keep experiencing it through child feelings.
Awesome. I'll let Meg share.
So the most common issue that I see when people come to me, individuals or couples, a lot of complaint of, this person doesn't get me, this person doesn't understand me, we live together, but we feel completely separate from one another. We don't know who the other person is anymore. And ultimately what this leads to is feelings of loneliness, severe loneliness within relationship, which leads to sadness, right? And confusion. And the approach that I use is, I'd say, more of an integrative approach as opposed to just hypnotherapy. And what we're doing is bringing the unconscious awareness into our conscious mind. And when I say unconscious, I mean, like, everything we do is habitual in life. Every single thing we do is a habit until we make it a habit. Like if we're learning something new, we're making it a habit, right? The things that we're doing in relationships are habits. They're habits that we learned long ago, and they typically are not serving us when we find ourselves in these unhappy states, right? But just like we don't have to teach ourselves, we know how to brush our teeth, right? We, like, every day I don't have to get up and be like, okay, left, back and forth, and I don't have to do that anymore. But there was a time that I did. And the same thing happens with our personalities, with our emotions, with our actions, in terms of how we relate to people. And so, what I learned long ago in childhood didn't really serve me in my adult relationships, in terms of how I learned how to behave, how I learned how to express or not express myself, how to handle my emotions, how to suppress my emotions, how to express my emotions. I mean, all of those things are simply habits, but we don't know that they're habits. And so it's taking them from the unconscious level, where we're just doing them, and bringing them into the conscious awareness and saying, what have these habits yielded in my life? Like, okay, what has this habit of suppressing my emotions and then feeling resentment, what has that yielded in my relationship? Well, a lot of distance. I actually don't like that person anymore, right? But now, how can I change that habit? Now that I am consciously aware of what I've been doing, what can I do differently to make it different now? How can I become that different person? So it's accessing the subconscious, bringing it to the conscious awareness, making choices about who I want to become and where I want to go, and facilitating, cultivating those changes in my life through forming new habits, which, I'm here to be honest with you, is hard. It's very simple. The process is very simple, but it's hard. It's hard to create or stop any habit, right? It's just, we're creatures of habit. So saying I'm not going to do something is like, it becomes a challenge, but it also is a choice. In every moment, we have a choice about if what we're doing is taking us closer to the person, the version, and the relationship that we want to have, or further away from that.
Awesome. And then I'll let Dale share.
Yeah. So, I mean, for the most part, I would say a good 80% of the people that I've talked to, confidence, straight up and down. Now, that can be applied in various areas of life, right? But for the most part, me being a dating coach, it's it's going to be applied to that for the most part. And there's all kinds of different styles of hypnotherapy. It's kind of like anything else, like, look, you got McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, Wendy's, right? You got all these different fast food restaurants. It's really no different in the sense of, there's just different styles, different ways of going about it. I doubt anybody really, I mean, unless they're already into it, they're not even going to be able to digest like all these different types of different ways, things like that. But just, I guess for your own knowledge, mine tends to be a little bit more Ericksonian in my approach. And basically induction, let's get in, let's get out. But what I like to do is kind of take it a step further. It kind of piggyback on what some of Meg was saying. I'm very practical. Like, look, I'm not, if you come to me and we do a session or coaching in general, like, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm not here to be your pal. I will be friendly, but I'm not here to, like, coddle you and like, oh, it's okay, man, you didn't do anything wrong. It's all right. Hey, what are you going to do? That's not my role. My role is to be like, much like you were saying on the intro, like, look, we're going to get into these weeds. We're going to go deep. You get pricked. You better be ready. You better have that Band-Aid with you. So I'm very practical. So once they come to a realization that, hey, look, this is an issue here. What do I need to do? It's like, do you really want to know what to do? Or do you want me to tell you what you want to hear? And if they're going to do what it is that I tell them to do, it is going to work. The only way that it's not, and this might sound a little bit, I don't know, arrogant, but whatever. The only way it's not going to work is if you don't put in the work. That's the only way. And so I will give them exercises. I will tell them, okay, here's some practical, pragmatic things to do in regards to confidence. And we'll just say, for example, they might have confidence issue in going on a date. Hey, here's somebody I don't know. I struggle with social anxiety to a degree. I don't want to look stupid. I can't think of things to say, things like that. So hence, I don't feel confident about going on a date. Okay, that's fair. That makes sense. So let's get to the crux of the issue. I'm not sending them out on a date day one. Like, oh, here's this girl over here and she wants to go on a date with you. Go on and get it. Like, that's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is taking small incremental steps and letting them experience and feel each of these steps, accomplishing these micro goals. And now they're starting to build that confidence. Just a quick story. I was just telling this yesterday to a client. So, like, when I grew up, I was never like club guy. I'm still really club guy, but you wouldn't know that if you met me there. But that aside, I was never like club guy, like go out to the club and on Friday, Saturday nights, that kind of thing. It was intimidating to me. And my only frame of reference that I had was whatever I saw on TV, whatever was in movies. And it was like this meat market atmosphere and like, I don't belong there. And all these limiting beliefs. And one day I built up the nerve to go. And I drive to the club, drove right past it. I'm like, nope. The second time I park and then I put it in reverse. Nope. It took me 8 times to build up enough confidence in myself to actually go in and start talking to people. All right. So I say that to say this. If somebody's intimidated by a certain thing, it's not a thing of like, sink or swim. Here, kid, throw you in the pool. I hope you know how to float. It's not that. It's more so like we're going to work on the process together, incrementally building. Now, sometimes some people, they can make big jumps once they really get a handle on it. That's not everybody. It's not a sport. It's not for competition's sake. It's who can get there fastest. The only competition is with yourself if you're going to get there at all. And so that's what I work on, is kind of feeling out where they are with what it is that they're going through, what they're dealing with. Let's get into the subconscious a little bit. Let's give you some practical things that we can work on, and let's go out there and get it done.
I love everything the three of you said, and the one thing that it led to me, one word is progression. You know, diving deep into that subconscious mind and progressing. You know, you all growing up, you know, my dad always say it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And the first thing you have to do is start. Again, that's what you said. You had to actually say, hey, I'm going to drive to the club the first time, right? And then that's the start of that progression, the start of that journey of healing and becoming, you know, getting over that fear and that gaining that confidence. And then again, by the eighth time, you're like, all right, let's rock and roll. And like I said, if you went to the club today, then you'd probably, you know, they'd be like, oh, what's up, is Dale, right? And so the moral of the story for the audience is, you know, if you're listening out there and maybe you're struggling with confidence, or maybe you've have been in relationships that are just not working, or maybe you're just stuck, I always encourage everyone to seek higher counsel. Again, get educated. Like Dale said earlier, you only know what you know. And so first start. I encourage everyone, just start, you know, and be convicted, like I said earlier, in that decision to start. And then, like Meg was saying, as you start, you're going to, again, start building that habit. You know, I think they say on average, it takes 30 days to make or break a habit on average. And so to do that, you start. And then as you're building that habit, you'll never know, you know, once you look back, you're like, wow, I've been doing this for years. And it just, like brushing your teeth, becomes second nature. And so again, I love that the three of you share that. And so the next question I have for you all is kind of a two-part question. The one is, how has hypnotherapy helped you in your personal relationships? And what is the common like misconception that you would say is for hypnotherapy?
Okay, so I'll start with the misconception and then go on to how it has helped me in my relationships. The misconception is that somehow you're going to dive into this dimension and you're going to struggle to get out, so I get trapped somewhere. I'm or you're going to be unconscious, like as in sleeping state, and you will not know what's going on, and someone can control you, like mind control you to do crazy things, and it's none of that. I don't know about other forms of hypnotherapy or hypnotism or stage hypnotism, but what I practice, rapid transformational therapy, it's a relaxed state, alpha theta state. It's above sleeping, so you're conscious and awake. You are talking to me. You are telling me. You're going back to scenes, which are memories, right? When I go back to the root of X, and they have a scene like on a movie screen, and they're telling me about it. So they're awake, describing, and I'm asking, what are you seeing? What are you feeling? What are you thinking? So they're completely conscious. And the misconception is that you're not conscious, and people are afraid of that, of losing control, of course. But you are absolutely in control, and there's nothing that I could do to make you lose that control. If I said quack like a duck, they'd be like, why, Caroline? You know? So that is a huge misconception, and that you can't get out of it. And somehow it's going to do permanent damage to you. And that those misconceptions really keep people from doing hypnotherapy out of these fears, which are completely unfounded, let's say. So how has it helped me? In so many ways. If a fear of speaking up, for example, in my past relationships, I had a lot of fear of speaking up. So I stayed silent and I withheld my feelings, my truth, walking on eggshells. And I really had to go back to that. What's the root of this meekness and staying small and fearing speaking up? And so whenever something comes up for me, or I get triggered, or there is some fear that is keeping me from being fully expressed and being authentic in myself in a relationship, I use hypnotherapy to go to the root and understand, where is this fear coming from and what is the story. So I use it like that, and to then see where my little girl within, my inner child, was feeling whatever, afraid of speaking up. And using hypnotherapy and audios and subconscious rewiring to wire in a new feeling. It's safe to speak now. You're loved. You can speak now. You're not a little girl anymore. All of these things. So I use it a lot. I use it anytime anything comes up for me, actually, whether it's relationships or just in my day, to quickly take me back to, where did this come from? What is really going on here? And better understand my own fears with compassion, knowing that it is my inner child that's feeling it. And now I've got her, and I'm not a little girl anymore. And I can show up differently in my relationships, in my life. So I use it a lot.
Awesome. Thank you. And then Meg.
Yeah. So I would say the way that this work has helped me the most is in seeing how I was creating what was happening in my world. So it gave me an objective view of essentially how my perception, my wounds, my triggers were creating the lens through which I saw the world, the lens through which I saw other people, the lens through which I saw my relationships. So, prior to this work, I would say I was a victim. I was at the effect of what we use in hypnotherapy. I was at the effect of everything that was happening around me instead of being at cause, which meant that, as scary as it might seem that I'm responsible for what's happening in my world, that also gives me complete ownership, which gives me the ability to control what happens next, which gives me choice, which gives me sovereignty, right? So this work helped me see how what I was viewing, how I was viewing it, was creating the world that I was living in. And I would say that a common misperception about this work is that it's talk therapy, or that I am going to give you an answer, or that I am going to tell you what to do. And really, the answers are in you, right? Like, you have the answers that are going to be most beneficial for you. If I'm giving you an answer, basically I'm indoctrinating you with more information, right? Like, we're trying to deprogram you is what we're doing. And if I'm telling you something, now you're supposed to take that on as your truth, right? So we're using this work to get to your deepest truth, to get to your answers. We're looking at your story about the story, right? So like, we all have stories, like Carolyn just mentioned. We all have stories that have played out our whole lives. We have a story about that story, right? And that is typically what's keeping us stuck. Our story about the narrative that we have about what's going on in life. So it's not talk therapy. It's not just telling the same story over and over again. Oh, my childhood and my dad did this and that and that. that'll keep you in that same narrative. It's looking at what's your story about that narrative, right? And how can you move beyond that to receive transformation in your life? So that's no longer the reason that you stay in a relationship, or no longer the reason you stay the way you are, or no longer the reason you remain dissatisfied, unfulfilled, lonely, right? We move beyond those narratives by looking at where that's keeping you stuck.
Awesome. Thank you. And then Dale?
Really good question, by the way, man. I rarely get asked what something does for me. It's about, hey, what do you do for others? You know? So rarely do I get asked how it applies to my own self. I think for me, and this was one of the foundational reasons that I even kind of started going down this path to begin with, was simply to be able to communicate with people better. And so, you know, the way that I like to put it is like this. You know, a lot of times people are afraid to be themselves, in the sense of, I'm going to be a chameleon. I'm going to blend in. If I'm over here, I'm going to act like this. If I'm over here, I'm going to act like this. I'll just be what you want me to be. And that's no way to be. And so for me, it was more of a thing of like, okay, I don't want to do that. But at the same time, I got to know my audience, right? So I can maintain being myself, talking to you guys, or I could go talk to a kindergarten class, and I could still maintain being myself, talking in front of a kindergarten class too, but I'm going to talk to them differently. I'm going to have to use different words. I'm going to have to be able to illustrate things in a way that their minds at 7 years old can understand and get, right? And so everybody kind of has their own little language, if you will. So with hypnotherapy and NLP and everything that goes along with that, it helped me be able to pick up on the way that somebody communicates so I could talk their language, so we're on the same page. And that, to me, I think has probably been the most substantial thing for me. But the second part of the question, much like Caroline was saying, I can't even tell you how many times people think it's like stage hypnotism or something. Like, I'm going to stand up there in a tuxedo and make them bark like a chicken. And like, it's like, no, that's not one bit at all. It's like they focus on the hypno and forget about the therapy. I may as well just say, I do hypno. And just leave it at that and let them draw their own conclusion, I guess. But yeah, that's by far the biggest thing I get. And I tell people when they kind of start, oh, what are you, like Dr. Mindbender or something? Like when I start hearing that kind of stuff, I'm like, look, all hypnosis is, if I was to encapsulate it in one way, it's nothing more than a focus of attention. It's not about being awake. It's not about being asleep. It's about where your attention is guided. You hypnotize yourself. All I do is guide you through that hypnosis. That's it. I'm the guide, but you're the one that actually hypnotizes yourself. Much like if you've ever been driving, and we've all done this, right? You're driving down the street and you're on the freeway and you're thinking about what you're going to do when you get there. You start daydreaming and things like that. And whoops, there goes the exit, right? Went right past it. Even though you've gotten off on that exit a million times. That's in state. That's hypnosis. You have literally hypnotized yourself. Were you asleep? I hope not, because everybody on the freeway is dead. So you're wide awake, conscious, concentrating, thinking, focusing, just not on the accurate thing at the right place and time.
Awesome. I love everything that you all said. And again, it reminds me of the title of the episode, The Warrior Within, right? It all ends and begins with you. Again, everything in life we go through, you determine, what impact it has in your life, whether it be positive or negative. It could be basketball. If you go to basketball and you miss a layup and people start throwing eggs at your face and that's your first time ever playing and you start crying, and let's say you're like 7 years old or something, you're probably never going to play basketball again, right? You're probably your subconscious, like Meg was saying, and as well as Dale and Caroline, is you're going to subconsciously lose that confidence and think that you suck at basketball, when in reality, maybe you're just around a bunch of jerks. Like Dale was saying, being around, 5 winners, you know. And so again, your environment also could determine, how you view different things throughout life. And so again, wonderful, wonderful knowledge shared here today. Like I said, I appreciate everyone being with us. And so really quickly, I want everyone to tell the audience their best success story with hypnotherapy and the client they've had, and then also tell the audience where they could find you.
Okay, well, I've had so many incredible stories. Like, they're really huge stories going back into, even they see past lives, and it's very a huge journey. It's like massive stories. But I would just like to focus on a recent one where she just longed to find her soulmate, and she just felt she had been in a pattern of relationships where she was with emotionally unavailable men, and going back, just seeing that again, her father was a very angry man, and that made her very afraid to speak up. So she worked very hard in her relationships, earning love, working hard, pleasing, staying quiet, being perfect wife, perfect mom, but being really unappreciated for raising the children. And she divorced, and when she came to me, she's like, Caroline, I've been single, and I can't let go of that feeling of that trigger of why didn't he love me? Like, why wasn't I enough for him? And she couldn't let that go. And through our session, she saw that she was really still longing for approval from daddy, from this man that sort of represented an angry dad, right? And I was like, you don't need, do you need his approval for you now as an adult to feel enough, to feel worthy of love? The little girl in you has been longing for that approval. You've been single now 3 years, and you still have been waiting for your ex to validate you. Like, isn't it time now that you know what has been going on for you to give yourself that validation that you are enough, that as an adult you get to decide, I'm enough. And she did, and within just 3 weeks, someone that she had been communicating with stepped up and invited her for a date, and things went from there. But she was showing up so differently. She was showing up like she truly believed she was lovable, and she would not put up with anything less than true love, care, attention. And this gentleman was sending her beautiful texts and sending her a little gift just to show her, he's thinking of her, and really being a different kind of partner that she had never had before. And she was able to see how simply shifting that narrative of, I need you to validate that I'm enough in order for me to feel enough and lovable and worthy of love. she changed it and was like, I'm enough now, and I believe that I'm worthy of love, and I will not settle anymore for anybody who doesn't treat me with utmost love, respect, reverence, because that is my new standard for myself. Because I'm treating myself that now, and I'm no longer waiting for my dad or my ex or anyone to validate me. So you're really going to have to step up your game and treat me like a queen, basically, for me to be with you, because I'm treating myself like that now. And so he rose. But it's so interesting to see that she had been in contact with this man and they had never gone out for a date. But the moment that shifted in her, he stepped up. He stepped up and invited her for a date, and just was, completely enamored with her. And so that really came from her. And she saw how her energy shifted, the way she stepped into this relationship, the way she showed up, got her new results. And that's what it's all about. It's changing that in yourself first, that and shifting that within yourself, that then someone outside will step up and meet you at this new place within. So that was a beautiful story, without so much drama, but so powerful, and really illustrating how what we believe about ourselves really is reflected in how our partner treats us, and who we're going to attract, call in, what we're going to accept and tolerate.
Awesome. And then can you tell the audience where they could find you?
Yes. So on Facebook as Caroline Ackroyd, on LinkedIn also Caroline Ackroyd, on Instagram as Hypno Love Coach, all one together, Hypno Love Coach, and my email also hypnolovecoach@gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Okay, so one of my favorite success stories is this client that I had, and I had asked her, I was like, hey, do you want me to do a webinar on like how to stop hating your husband? What do you think about that? And she was like, actually, no. She was like, I wish I did hate him. She's like, right now I kind of just have no feeling for him whatsoever. She's like, I'd like to know how to stop feeling lonely in my relationship. And so from there, that's what we started focusing our sessions on. And so she went from feeling like she did everything alone in her house. She took care of the house alone. She took care of the kids alone. She took like everything, right? And having no partner, no one that she could talk to, no one that understood her, no one that saw her point of view, no one to like share the world with, right? Good or bad, just completely alone. And she went from that to feeling like they are working together as a unit. Those were her words. We are working together as a unit. And to me, that's like such a powerful transformation, to go from feeling completely isolated and alone in your relationship to feeling like you have a partner in crime. I mean, so many people in their relationships are just like, do you guys know that expression where you're like, how are you today? And they're like, well, living the dream. And I'm like, God, that's so uninspiring, right? And a lot of that is what made me, think about niching in this area in terms of in relationship coaching. Just how can we really live the dream that we want to live in our relationships? How can we have the relationships that we want to have? So watching her go from someone that felt completely isolated, alone, lonely, misunderstood, really depressed, about 20 pounds overweight. Like, how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? So everything started changing when she started working on herself and how she wanted to be in the relationship, who she wanted to be in the relationship, the kind of relationship she wanted to have. She lost weight. She's going out. She feels more vibrant. She has a connected relationship with her husband. She feels like they can have hard conversations. That's a real thing in relationships. Like, people are afraid to have a hard conversation, to bring it up. And so the fact that she's doing all these things for me is a real testament to her willingness to do the work and that the work works. And if people would like to work with me in any of those areas, they can find me as Meg Lamb on Facebook as well as Instagram, meglam1. And they can email me at meg@meglam.net.
Awesome. Thank you again for sharing. And again, make sure you guys follow both Caroline, Meg, and Dale. Go ahead, Dale.
Right. So the one that comes to mind for me is here's a guy who, when I started working with him, he was local to me. Most of the people that I work with they can be any. All right. But this guy lived by me and he was going through it. He was just in his relationship, it was a train wreck. And so I was trying to help him work through this relationship. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, there's no way this is going to work out. Well, lo and behold, about a month later, and by the way, I should note that this guy was trying to get sober at the same time. So there was a lot of moving parts in this whole situation. Well, one day I get a call from his girl, and thank God she wasn't there at the time. But apparently he was suicidal, got a pistol. He's up in his apartment and he's going to kill himself. And so I'm like, well, okay. So I go over there and I called the cops first, but I go over there and he lets me in. But, it was like one of those buzzer situations, right? So I go up the stairs. I go in. He's got his gun in his mouth. And we just don't have enough time for me to go through the whole minutia of everything. But bottom line is I help walk him through, like, this is not something, like, there's no coming back from this, man. Like, let's at least talk about it. And if you still feel the same way, what can I do, man? But there's no going back if you do it now. And so we get to talking and everything. Today, as of about 4 years later, this guy was the 275th marriage of 286 marriages I have under my belt. So, to a different girl, by the way. But nonetheless, he's alive and well, doing well professionally. This dude he may as well have been living in a dumpster. Like, this guy was rock bottom, and now he's a real estate professional and he's doing well for himself. They've had a child, and everything. So, to me, that's the one that stands out the most. Oh, and you can reach me. You can reach me by, look, if you Google Dale Valor, I'm very easy to find. Okay. But I think the best place would be freegiftfromdale.com. I got a whole bunch of free resources there and things like that you can download, check out, poke around at. That's also probably the best way to reach me. That or my Instagram, which is Dale Valor, or at Dale Valor Modern Flirting. And you can reach me there. And and real quick, if I can say this too real fast. Anybody that reaches out to me, if you reach out to me, you shoot me a DM, you shoot me an email, carrier pigeon, I don't care, whatever it is. If you reach me, I will give you a free copy of my new book that came out last week, Unlocking Unstoppable Confidence. So I'll give you a free copy of that if you reach out to me.
Awesome, man. Again, it's been a wonderful episode 6, the Warrior Within panel, with these 3 amazing guests, Caroline, Meg, and Dale Valor. Again, You guys made it. You're out of the Black Garden. You can put the first aid kit away. You can go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off. You'll be all right. I know you might have hairy arms if you're a man, or might haven't shaved yet if you're a woman. But go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off. It won't hurt too bad. Again, I appreciate everyone, listening and tuning in to this wonderful panel here today. And again, I hope everyone took one thing that could resonate with them. Again, 3 wonderful and powerful stories. One thing I'll say real quick is just, everything ends and begins in you. You have the power to shape your legacy how you want it to be shaped, whether it be hypnotherapy or whatever avenue you have to take. And like the story shared today, you could be at rock bottom. If you're listening and you're at rock bottom, again, seek higher counsel, surround yourself with successful winners, find higher counsel and get the help that you deserve and that you need. And, I hope, if you're listening and you're searching for that relationship of your dreams, again, you have the power to manifest that within yourself. And so it's been a wonderful panel here with Caroline, Meg, and Dale, and Dominion, your host. And until next time on Black Garden, thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Decree of Dominion. I hope today's episode empowered you to reclaim your voice and walk boldly in your truth. Remember, healing is a journey, and you don't have to walk it alone. If you found value in this episode, make sure to follow us on Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more inspiring stories and conversations. Stay connected with our community on Facebook and Instagram, where we share resources, encouragement, and continue the conversation. And don't forget, your story matters. Until next time, keep declaring the dominion of the darkest parts of your mind to reveal your true light that shines. God bless you.